The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Phixated Podcast. I am your incredibly exhausted host, Mike Azzalina, and I am joined by a guy who I wish I went to California with at some point in my life, but did not have that opportunity. Regzy Boo. Hi.
First of all, thanks for gutting it out for us. I know you want to go to bed. I know you do. So I appreciate your heart. Second of all, yes, it's a weird pull from quite a while ago, but we somehow didn't go with each other on separate college buddy trips to California. And I couldn't for the life of me tell you why I didn't go the time you went. And I don't know if you know why you didn't go the time that I went.
No. So what we're gonna work backward here and start with the California thing, and then sort of talk about why I'm so freaking tired today. But so I was reminded of this being in the airport, the Philadelphia airport last night or this morning, and so that's a little foreshadowing as to why, the second part of this story about when we went to California. Our buddy Steiny Boo, his dad worked at Stanford, so he would have us, invited us out there a couple of times over the course of our college careers. And like Regz said, the first time that this happened, Regz went. I did not go. Don't know why. I wonder if it's when I went to Ireland. That might have been what it was. It might have been the same time that I went to Ireland.
Yeah, I don't know.
For like a school trip. But the second time we went, Regz didn't go, and we've talked a lot about our college roommates on this show, and we've done some like dumb stuff that like doesn't make sense. And this is one of those things. We were like, you know what? Let's all go to the airport the night before and just stay at the airport. Like, not go to someone like Phil lives like 40 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
Go to
like my house even
Phil's.
Closer. It's like 20 minutes from the airport.
Not go to Phil's house, not go to Reg's house. Let's just go to the airport and we'll just hang out there overnight and get on the plane after that, which, clearly made so much sense.
Of course.
So that's what we did, and we did a lot of different things. We had a football, and we played football in the terminal. We played wheelchair football and found wheelchairs that were just hanging around and rode on those and played football with those. I'm pretty sure we slept on a bench for like an hour, all of us. And, then people started to come and they were like, who are these smelly college kids? Just hanging out, being idiots in the middle of the night in this airport. I don't even know how they let us stay there. I guess because Philly's like never ending. I mean, they close stuff. But
but I think I don't think
it's
the airport ever officially closes. Yeah, people are there all the time.
Yeah. I mean, even as I was leaving last night, I think it was the second to last flight coming in. But there's security there. There's people getting there.
Yeah, who have 6 a.m. flights. Yeah, all that stuff.
That just go and stay there and sit there. I mean,
Yeah.
I went and got my car from the Harrisburg airport when I got back out here. And there were people starting to float in. And it was like, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So
again, I wasn't doing anything after college graduation. I don't know why I wouldn't have gone with you guys. Like, I have no idea what the reason would be behind that.
And so like you did different things when you were there. You guys went to like Alcatraz, right?
We did that. We did a Giants game.
Yep, we did that.
We toured Stanford, obviously.
Yep, same.
Yeah, we did do Alcatraz. That's right.
We went on a wine tour.
See, we weren't 21 at the time when we went.
Yeah, Daddy-O took us on a wine tour. That was
Nice.
fun. I remember we watched, because we were all like super into American Idol then. We watched it like every week. So we watched the finale. And we hung in the pool like a lot. Like we were in that pool. And we went to see Purple Pegasus.
Of course.
Went to see Purple Pegasus, which was Stein's little sister's t-ball team. So, that was a big deal.
She's like graduated college now, which makes me feel really old.
I know Daddy will text me. I know he texted you because he put us on a chain during the Phillies
That's
playoffs.
right.
To Ted, neither of us were responding.
I couldn't. Yeah, it wasn't a good time.
We were not in a good place for that.
No.
But yeah, I don't know why I didn't go the first time. Don't know why you didn't go the second time. And I think, did everybody go with you? Was everybody else there?
No. So I don't know why I just looked at the picture of this. It was me, Phil, Stein, obviously, Abby, and Ryan.
Okay.
So you and Banksy didn't go. Did Banks go with you guys?
I'm pretty sure Banks
he
went.
did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went. I'm actually looking right now to see. I think I have the picture is like my old profile picture, I believe, from like right after college, and I'm pretty sure that here it is. It's out front of In-N-Out Burger. No, Banks didn't go. It was Stein, me, Phil, Josh, and Rye.
We just switched spots, me and you.
That's it. We just
Again,
flip-flop.
I have no idea why. No idea. Also, shout out Josh Ebersol. Congratulations on his new baby girl.
Oh, yeah, new baby girl. Yeah, congratulations, buddy. Super happy for you. And he probably worked 15 hours that day.
Maniac. I don't understand how he still does it. He's been doing this for too long. Why is he still doing this?
And looks so good, too.
He does. That's very true.
He actually looks better than all of us.
He's very in shape.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Can I tell you why I'm so tired?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Regz already knows this. I'm not really telling Regz. I'm telling everybody else.
The people.
I'm telling the people. The Phixated Podcast people. So I was in Wichita, Kansas this week. It was a short week, only 3 days, and I was supposed to speak at a event for high school students today. I had 3 sessions to do this morning. I was the keynote, 40-minute keynote for 3 sessions. So my flight was supposed to get back to Harrisburg last night at 10, and that was fine. Like, that's totally fine. My car's there. We live 7 minutes from the airport. So I can legitimately just like jump in my car, get home, be in bed by 10:30, be ready to go the next morning. No big deal. At noon yesterday, I get a text message from American Airlines that my flight is canceled. And I was like, what?
Womp.
Yeah. So I had to jump onto a different flight, which got me into Philadelphia at 1:30 in the morning. Problem being, I have a car in Philly. So I asked Enterprise if I could do a one-way rental in Harrisburg, and they told me no because of the holidays, which makes like no sense to me. It feels like that would be a great time to do one-way rentals. So I had my lovely wife drove to Philadelphia at 1 a.m. to pick me up and bring me back. Mind you, like the Philadelphia airport takes forever with your luggage. So by the time I got out there, it was like 2:15 in the morning. We got back to Harrisburg at 4, walked in the door at 4:30, and I just didn't go to bed because like at that point I'd have to be up at like 6 to get ready and get to the high school by like 7:15. And if I fell asleep, I wasn't waking up. So on my way in, I grabbed a Monster energy drink.
I was going to say, you're not a coffee guy either.
I'm really not any caffeine guy, but like there was no way.
No, yeah,
I was
at this
making
point,
it
pure desperation.
Through 3 like motivational keynote talks, if I didn't have something to like kick me,
of course,
in the butt, So we made it. Like we got through it and survived it, of course, but like when Regz and I are done, I'm probably sleeping until like 10:30, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Because I had a comp day for Sunday, like because I traveled on Sunday. And I'm taking another comp day tomorrow because like I traveled from 6 o'clock last night until 4 o'clock this morning. Like that's an 8-hour day, baby. Like it's actually a 10-hour day. I am tapped out. Like there ain't no way. So I'm gonna sleep in real good tomorrow.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm gonna sleep in real good tomorrow. So that's why I'm tired. If I am not my normal self on this podcast, I apologize, but I will do my best.
I'll pick you up when I see you fading a little bit. We'll
It
get you
must start to
going.
fade. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good show though, man. We're going to talk a little Sixers, not a whole lot going on in Sixers world. We're going to preview the Eagles Chiefs, and then you've got the show that y'all been waiting for. Like, it is the show where I take the Phillies offseason and I make it what I would do if I were Dave Dombrowski using John Middleton's money. So we've got that on tap at the end of the show. And my Phixated comes off of that. So that should be a little clue as to what I'm doing in this. Could be a little clue as to what I'm doing in this Phixated podcast. So, Regz, we will start with those Philadelphia 76ers. And just the we everything's going well, right? And just like you would assume in Sixers world, things are not allowed to go well. And Kelly Oubre Jr. was reportedly hit by a car in a hit and run. What was it? Friday night? Is that when it was? It was sometime over the weekend because I texted you. With whoa, and obviously we're happy he's okay. He was in stable condition. Reports are that he broke a rib, or multiple ribs, and has plenty of cuts and scrapes and all that sorts of stuff. A few days after the reported accident, it came out that there were no videos or anything showing what happened based on where he said it was, and that he was trying to cover up a domestic. Then his people came out and said, no. He just didn't know where it was. That's not what happened. And released a ring cam video to TMZ, or TMZ somehow got a hold of it. My guess is that the Sixers and his people made sure it got to TMZ, of him walking in the door the night of the accident with his bike, saying to his either girlfriend or wife, I was hit by a car. And you can hear her say, what? And you can hear him saying, ow. And people are like, there's no way. Look, first of all, if you've never experienced a traumatic event, sometimes when you experience a traumatic event, your mind doesn't allow you to recognize the pain that your body is going through. And that's what I feel like happened to him. He's been riding the bike at practice. They said it's going to be a prolonged time. I don't know how long. No one seems to know how long. But what a weird situation, Regz. I believe the guy. I have no reason not to believe the guy.
Yeah.
But it's a weird situation.
Somebody brought this up to me in a text, and I was just like, I think I had seen it in a Twitter post, and it was like that Bryce Harper. It was like the Scott Boras thing. I just scrolled right past it. I'm just like, I don't care about this. Until something real comes out, I'm just not going to be bothered by this. I'm going to assume that the guy getting hit by a car is real and that he's injured, for this reason. And I'm just glad he's okay. And it sucks that it happened when the team was kind of rolling, but he's not dead, thank God. And he's going to be able to, continue his profession that he worked very, very hard to get to. That's all I was worried about. I was like, this is one of those times where I just didn't dive into it. I didn't get into it. I didn't read anything. I was just like, this is stupid. I don't trust any of it. I'm just going to go with what they said and we'll move on.
And just that, and like you said, that he's okay.
Right.
Yeah. That's all that matters. So they have been really good and a couple big wins last week, beat the Pacers, beat the Celtics. Then they had to play the Pacers and the Celtics again this week, and they lost both of those games. So they're now at 8-3, second place in the East early on in the year, 11 games in, which is crazy. Already an eighth of the way through the season, which is wild to consider. And look, Regz, clearly they miss Batum, and because Batum hasn't been playing. And they definitely miss Oubre and his presence on the floor. But, you take two guys out like that, and the depth that they had built is all of a sudden gone in a lot of ways because, with a guy like Maxey off the floor and Oubre not on the floor, it takes one offensive weapon or two offensive weapons away. And we it's early to be talking about this. The Sixers have been happy the way guys have been playing, so they haven't really, when they're being asked about like what's next, what are you going to use these assets for? They've been, pretty close to the vest and saying we just like the team as it's constructed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's evident to me, at least, and I'm anxious to hear your thoughts on this. They need somebody behind Maxey, a ball handler that can score a little bit. Because when Maxey comes off the floor, and especially without Oubre or Batum on the floor to stretch it a little bit and give him some, at least the Oubre's athletic ability to be able to score on the dribble, they don't have another threat like that. They have guys who are fine, like could score in bursts, but not necessarily that type of player. So for me, I think the focus should be who's the dude handling the ball, who's the guy handling the ball when Tyrese Maxey's not on the floor. Is that am I on the right track there? That's what it feels like.
I think yes. I think I just want to make two distinctions. I think when you lose bench players like Oubre and Batum, who are switchable, who can guard a bunch of people, who can score, like your team's just not going to be as good. The Sixers aren't, like, let's be honest, the Sixers, and a lot of people kind of expected this going into the season, like just be third or fourth in the East, get to the playoffs, see what you can do, get a bunch of trade assets so you have the ability to make moves when, these contracts come off the books and all those things.
Yeah.
They were playing, I think, above the level a lot of people expected.
Yeah.
So, but when you lose guys, two very important role players and a starter, Oubre was starting for them, like it makes a difference on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. If you were going to talk about the Sixers' one glaring weakness, it is another playmaking ball handler when Maxey isn't on the floor. But I think you also have to take into account that your two of your better role players aren't there. So the second unit offense is going to look that much worse with these two guys out. So I think you are right. I think if you're talking about what this team needs, that certainly is very close to the top of the list. But I think it is a little over amplified with those two guys being out. I think these games are a lot different. Like especially with the Celtics missing Brown and Porzingis, like the game's very different if we have Oubre and Batum. I really do think that, because I don't think the Celtics bench is as good as the Sixers bench when fully healthy. Yeah. And then the Indiana,
and they made 18 freaking threes.
Yeah,
last
of
night.
course they did. And also from the Indiana side, like they're an athletic team. They're an athletic team. So when you miss guys like that who are long, athletic defenders, it just makes a difference. That's what loses you games like this. And look, they weren't going to win every game. They weren't going to go, run the rest of the table. These games were going to happen. It's good that they were against better teams and they're not losing to like Detroit or teams like that are at the bottom of the barrel. So,
and they had just beaten both.
Right. And look, it's going to happen. You weren't going to go undefeated against the Celtics. It just wasn't going to be. And I think we just need to also understand that this team was overperforming.
Yeah.
And they're very much closer to a 4 seed probably than a 1 or 2 seed. Like, it's just going to be how this plays out. Depending on maybe what happens here and there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Also, other teams could get hurt. It happens.
Yeah.
And they could keep playing better. You're right. But I think when Harden was gone, when we didn't get any huge splashy piece from the Clippers, like we came on this pod and we talked about just be good. Mm-hmm. Just be good enough to make sure that Joel Embiid doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, and they were. And they
exactly.
are.
I think they've played a little better than that, but they're still right there. So they lost two very important guys for a couple games. They didn't win, there were some, tough opponents, didn't win them, is what it is. I want to get those guys back and continue to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I think Batum will be back. He might be back tomorrow.
Yeah, that was like personal reasons or something, right?
Yeah. So he might be back tomorrow. Oubre is going to be a bit.
Yeah.
And look, I'm just going to put a name out here right now. We're dig into it because we're so far from the deadline. I don't think it matters. But it looks like the Bulls are going to tear down. I would love Alex Caruso.
I would love him too.
I would love Alex Caruso to be the guy behind Tyrese Maxey. So we're just going to put that out there now. If it happens later, nice. Here's what they have coming up this week. They have 4 games before Thanksgiving. They've got Atlanta tomorrow night in Atlanta. That should be a win. Like, that's a game they should win. They've got the Nets in Brooklyn. That should be a win. They've got the Cavs at home. That could be a tough game. The Cavs they've played them tough the last couple of years, but again, should be a win. Like they should lose that game. And then they go to Minnesota, which to me Anthony Edwards is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
that'll be a tough game.
It's a tough game because it's a back-to-back too. So we'll see. I'd love to see 3-1 in that stretch. I think that would be ideal. And certainly we should be back to kind of discuss that little run of games, not on Thursday, because clearly Thursday is the best of all the holidays. But we'll be probably Friday or Saturday. So yeah, we'll check back with the Sixers.
Yep.
But look, 8-3 feels good right now. It really does. It feels good with all that we expected. And our best to Kelly Oubre, because he was quickly becoming a fixated guy. So let's get you back on the court, Kelly. We can't wait for you to get healthy and get back on the court. Big game in Birdland this week, buddy. Big game in Birdland. It is a Super Bowl rematch. Some are saying Super Bowl rematch preview for the next Super Bowl. And this game's been marked on the calendar, I think, by a lot of us since the Super Bowl last year. It was an instant classic of a game. Both teams played really, really good football, minus the defense at the end from the Eagles. But I do believe that this could be one of those games that we look at as a defining moment in the Eagles season, because right now there's the whole narrative that they're only winning close games and they're not as good as it looks. And certainly this would be the game that if they do come out and lose, that people are going to point at them and say, "Told you, you're not good." And they could play. Regz, I'll tell you this right now. They could play the best game possible, lose by a last-minute field goal again, and people will be like, "See, maybe not so good," because that tends to happen to the Eagles. Whereas the Cowboys lose, and we're talking about Dak Prescott's an MVP. National media needs something, but a lot of fun little, narratives at play this week. As always, the Kelsey family reunion stuff is always super cool. And this year you've got the added bonus of Taylor Swift,
right?
Which is great. I will tell you right now. So rumor is that Taylor's parents will be there. They're going to meet the Kelsey parents for the first time. It's a whole thing. But also, Taylor, I know you listen to Phixated.
Of course.
So hear me out. You wear a Chiefs jersey, you are a fraud.
Yeah, it's real tough.
You're a fraud. Listen, your father lived in this city. He is from Bryn Mawr.
Yeah.
Like, this dude has been an Eagle fan for over 50 years, and he's wearing a Chief lanyard at the concert the other night. You're all frauds. I don't care if you are the biggest star on this planet, but you will be the biggest fraud in Philadelphia history.
If
you come out.
Just wear Jason's jersey. It still says Kelsey. Like, no one's going to be mad about it. Travis would get it. Like, I think of anybody, we're dealing with a guy who kind of gets that stuff, especially if it's his brother. Like, just do the right thing.
Don't be a fraud.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
You're not married. You don't have to do this.
Yeah. Well, probably soon. I feel like it's just going to happen. It's either going to end really quickly or they're going to be exchanging vows this offseason.
Yeah.
The other, obviously the Andy Reid narrative is always there. And I think there's like a new, like, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts sort of narrative that comes into play here. Pat's been doing it for a while. He's clearly one of the best of all time. And Jalen is like that up and comer dude who, showed last year he belongs in the conversation. He showed that, he belongs in that not greatest of all time conversation. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but in the conversation of like right now, I'm playing at that level. And I can be that level of quarterback that brings my team to this position every year. So I think that's a fun new narrative that's coming into play this year. Regz, we're gonna go into our keys and predictions in a bit, but one thing I want to point out is this Chiefs team is so different than years past. Even the team we saw, 6, 7
Mhm.
months ago, 9 months ago at this point, it's very different than that team because that team, the defense was questionable. This defense, like in 9 months, has become one of the better defenses in the league. The secondary is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like really good secondary. So, and the offense hasn't been as good. The receivers are not that good. They're
Mhm.
not that talented. I shouldn't say they're not talented. They just haven't put up the numbers that we've seen from Chiefs receivers in the past. So it's a little bit different. One thing after the bye that I'll be interested to see is last year Andy exploited the Eagles' resistance to going into a dime defense and simply staying in their base nickel and having a safety cover. Now, he could do that last year because he had 4 receivers that could go get the ball. They're so slim on receivers
Yeah.
that, I'll be curious to know if he does it. But, Sean Desai is also in that nickel sort of. He's gone dime more so than Gannon ever did. But I'll be curious to see if Andy tests it early to see if he can catch him in nickel,
Mhm.
or if Desai will say, we're not going to do this. I'm going to go into dime. They've been stuck because they haven't had the depth at corner to do that. But with Roby back, they will have the depth to go dime.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just something that I thought about. This team's different, but also a way that Andy might attack them. I don't know if there's anything that you want to kind of add to the Chief piece or the Andy piece. I just know how tough he is out of a bye, and he'll have a game to
Yeah,
sort of
he
attack
will.
what we've seen as
I'm
weakness.
I'm a little hopeful that Bieniemy not being there helps us because that dude just owns us apparently.
Yeah.
So maybe that helps. It's just Andy doing it and not having Bieniemy calling the plays and all that stuff. So I'm hopeful maybe that gives us a little edge. You're right. The secondary for the Chiefs has been playing really well.
Unbelievable.
I think this is a game that running the ball is going to be really important to set up the pass game. I know it's like not the most in-depth statement to say about a football game, but the Eagles have just kind of been able to pass all over teams for the past several weeks. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that, especially with Goddard being out. So they're going to have to break off some chunks of yardage running the ball in order to give Devontae and AJ, a chance to get a little bit more open because maybe someone just freezes for a second.
Mhm.
And look, I think on the other side, the Chiefs' interior offensive line is one of the best in football.
Mhm. Yeah, Creed Humphrey's unreal.
But their tackles are not very good. So this is like a big redemption game for Sweaty and Hassan and the guys on the edge because the Super Bowl, like you came out and you said it was the grass, and I think if you watch the tape, like it's evident they were slipping around. But this is the weakness of this team. So this is your chance to make up for it and show that you guys can play against this Chiefs team. And I'm hopeful that with Jordan Davis being that much better this year, with Jalen Carter, being what he is, with Fletcher, Fletch being back, all that stuff, that the middle of our line is just that much better. Because I think like they were blowing Jordan Davis off the ball in the Super Bowl. But like, look, he's been a much better player this year. Yeah, I mean, we'll go into the keys in a little bit, but I just think that's just like the running game and the ability to get, just to get in the eye line a little bit of Patrick Mahomes is just something you just got to do because he's just too good. Like if you don't, we've seen what Sam Howell does against like to this defense if we don't get home in time. Like just think what Pat Mahomes is going to do, even with a bunch of receivers who nobody knows about. Like it just is what it is with that guy. He's just going to pick you apart.
Yeah, he's so incredibly talented.
He's very good.
A couple of things that you mentioned there. Andy Reid made comments today about the defensive line and said like that rookie's pretty good. And he also said, and you know what, 91 just doesn't get old. I don't know what you feed him. The cheesesteaks must be good. It was like a quote to that extent. But Andy clearly recognizes this defensive front as an issue, and he'll game plan to make sure the ball is out of 15's hands real fast because, first of all, like that's how you beat the Eagles. Second of all, you don't want 15 on the ground like that. If you're Andy Reid, you don't want him getting touched. But also, if you're the Eagles, and I'm sort of hinting at one of my keys, you have to be careful of when you hit Patrick Mahomes because you know he's likelier to get calls if you get him a little bit late, more so than a guy like Sam Howell.
Yeah.
So you make sure if you get him when you're supposed to get him. And look, I'll sit here and say that that's well deserved. Like the guys earned that, like as it's like the Brady effect.
Yeah.
Like you touch Brady as the ball's like literally leaving his fingertips, and you're gonna get the call against you. And I think Mahomes is in territory. The other thing that you mentioned that I love is the run game. They've really taken a step back there since like week 4 or 5. I think one of the reasons is Big Cam Jurgens. Like he is such a good run blocker, and when they lost him, they just Opeta couldn't pave a way, and obviously Tyler Steen struggled a ton in the Dallas game, especially in the run game. So getting Jurgens back this week is just huge because his ability to run block should open some lanes. Here's the other thing that I think could change the run. And that Jalen Hurts was smiling for the first time in a long time today at his time with the media. He said it's likely that he's not wearing a brace for the first time in like 2 or 3 weeks. Says he feels good. Sounds like it was a bone bruise this whole time. Which doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And when you have that bone bruise, if you take like weird steps, you can feel it. Like it's there. And it'll affect you. So 2 weeks off of his feet, you might see Jalen in the run game a little bit more than we've seen him. A little more aggressive in the run game. I've seen him, and that changes things for defense if he's running that option.
Yeah,
and pulling it, that changes things. They haven't been doing that, so it'll be interesting because this is gonna be a chess match because a lot of the things we've seen from the Chiefs, we're probably gonna see a little bit of difference. A lot of the things we've seen from the Eagles over the last, we're gonna see a difference. It's gonna be a real chess match. So let's jump into our keys here. What do you got? What do you guys your key to the game? And Birds are 2.5 point underdogs, 45.5 total. What's your prediction?
My key is the defensive ends. Like the defensive ends have to win their matchups. And the middle of the line just has to hold the pocket. Like they have to hold it enough to not give Patrick a bunch of ways to escape, which is difficult. He's very good at it. He's might be the best pocket passer in the entire game of football.
He's a magician.
He just knows exactly what to do. But I think if we don't do that, it's just we've seen that this defense can't hold up when quarterbacks have time. They just can't do it. And especially with a guy like Pat Mahomes, like you're just not going to stop him if you can't get to him. So and again, that concerns me because then if that does happen, then the Eagles have to score with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
So it makes it a tougher task if they have to go touchdown for touchdown with them.
Yeah.
So my prediction is that Chiefs win, but I'm going to say, what was I going to say? I'm going to say 30-27.
Okay.
It's going to be a field
right.
goal.
Okay.
It might be very similar to the Super Bowl.
Walk-off field goal? Yeah.
It might be.
Okay.
I don't know if it will be. It might end, with the offense trying to go down and tie it up. I could see that happening. Yeah, they're still very good.
Yeah.
The defense is better. Sure. I think our defense has a better chance to step up and make a deciding play. But I just don't know if in Kansas City, if we have to, that we can go touchdown for touchdown with them. With Goddard being out, I think it makes a big deal that Dallas Goedert is not in this game.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because we are not good at that position now.
Yeah.
We were never going to be favored in the matchup of tight ends anyway, because Travis is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Goddard's at least like a top 3-4 tight end. Losing him, you instantly, it's like if you put it on a scale, like Travis is on the far end of the scale, and Grant Calcaterra, Alberto.
But just what it does for the passing offense, it just makes such a difference for our passing offense that if we have to go score for score with them,
Yeah. So one thing to mention here is that it's actually supposed to be raining at kickoff. It's like a 50-60% chance of rain on Sunday.
Okay.
In Kansas City. It's actually supposed to rain all day Sunday too. So it's going to be wet there, for sure. And that lends itself for an interesting game, especially with the defensive line, because it's probably going to be slippery.
Yeah.
With it being rainy. However, I have that as part of my key too, Ray. I have, the defensive line just has to win. They have to put their money where their mouth is and come out and do what they said they could have done in the Super Bowl, but because of the turf, and I'm putting that in quotes, they weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
So put your money where your mouth is. Get to them. The other key, I didn't put anything on the offense, and I'm not going to, because I think, like you said, the defense has to do their job to keep them in this game and keep it relatively close. I did think the total was kind of low.
Yeah.
45.5 felt low to me when I was going through what I thought a final score would be, and I couldn't get it any lower than I did. But the other the other key here is we talked about them being pretty stagnant at the receiver position. Like, they're just not as impressive at that position as they'd been in years past. You got to just take Travis Kelce out of the football. From the sense of, like, he needs to be bracketed for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
You dedicate 2 of your 11 to Travis Kelce on every play. And look, this is what you pay Darius Slay for. This is what you pay James Bradbury for. And I know that Bradbury struggled. I get it. I've watched it. But he should be able to handle. This isn't CeeDee Lamb that they're dealing with this week. Like, it's not Garrett Wilson. Like, you know what I mean? It's not those guys.
Yeah.
So, to me, you've got to dedicate 2 dudes to 87 at all times. Heck, you want to put 3 on them, I don't care.
Yeah, right.
But you've got to make one of these other dudes beat you, because Travis will beat you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially if Taylor's there. Actually, I can't remember if he's better with her there or not better. The stat.
I think it is better with her there.
It's better with her there.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's try and keep him at bay. I know it's hard. I've said it. He's a Hall of Fame. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
So do what you can to make Pat beat you with somebody else that's not 8-7. That being said, I do have the Eagles winning. I think that the Eagles see this as a chance to make their statement. I think it's a late touchdown. I think it is a situation where they have the ball last. They're going to be down by 3, and they're going to end up, Jalen's going to have a drive, and they're going to end up winning 28-24. So I went over by a bit. I went over by a full touchdown.
Yeah.
Well, 6.5. But I believe, man, that this is going to be Jalen's sort of signature, where he puts a stamp on it and says, like, I am here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's won games, but he hasn't won the game yet that we all look at it and say, like, even think about the playoffs last year, man. He beat Daniel Jones, right? And then they beat I defend him all the time, beat the Niners, but like, that wasn't a signature win. I need to see him get that win. I want that for him. It's not that I don't believe in him. I just want the rest of the world of football. He's on this big stage. It's the biggest stage he's been on since the Super Bowl. And it's a chance to say, look, I'm here. I'm on the road against the best in the league, against a top 5 guy of all time right now. Like, that's where we're talking Patty Mahomes is. Against the top 5 defense in the NFL right now. Like, this is the game to do it. This is the game to do it. So I got them winning 28-24 in the last. Jalen left the game. He left the field in the Super Bowl. He walked off the field, but he had an incredible drive. The 2-point conversion, all of it.
Yep.
And then the defense gave it away. But you know what he's remembered for in that game by people not in Philadelphia? The fumble.
Yeah.
You know, there are a few people who will say Jalen played an incredible game. Our guest that previewed the Super Bowl with us, Kyle, will often say, like, Jalen played an incredible game. You know, but if you talk to other fans that, you know, like to poke holes in the argument, they'll say, oh, the fumble. Well, yeah, he also went like 90 yards after.
Yeah.
And put them on his back for the next 2.5 quarters. So go get it, Jalen. Like, go get it. Done and done. That's sort of where I'm at.
Can't wait.
So it's gonna be fun. Monday's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. All right. You ready?
Yes. I just get to sit back. I just get to sit back and listen and make stupid comments. I can't wait.
All right.
Let's do it.
So if you've been with us for 2 years, then you know that this is like one of our favorite shows. Like, we love this show because spend an entire segment with me just creating an offseason that I would, if I were sitting in that GM president's chair, would try and go for. Now, realize this. When I do this, there's a little bit of reality. So I try and think about the money that they're going to spend. But also, like, it's like my ideal situation. It's what I would do. So it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the thing. It's not necessarily a prediction. It's more, here's what I would do. Now, there are certainly things here that I think are possible, and there are certainly things here that are unlikely, but it's fun. So I went through and I kind of figured out where the are luxury tax with money right now. It looks like after arbitration, they'll be around 207 if they don't pick up Jake Cave, Dylan Covey. If those guys end up going, they should be around like 207 million. So the third tier of the luxury tax, which is what I think they'll avoid, is 200. I don't see them spending 83 million this season. That second tier is about 275. So 68 million is, you know, that's still high. And I don't think I necessarily see them passing that either. So I don't have them passing that. I actually have them spending around in my situation here. So let's just start with this, Regz. I don't have Aaron Nola coming back. So we're just gonna start there. Regz, I actually am starting to get this really uncomfortable feeling he's Brave.
I hate that so much. I hate it. I hate it so much.
And Max Fried, Spencer Strider, and Aaron Nola is. Can
you just go anywhere else?
I don't know. Here's my thing. If he comes down, I can see them. Because his wife's from Georgia.
I know. I
hate
this so much.
Yeah. There's a lot of me that's hoping he ends up in St. Louis.
Good. That's fine. Go. That's fine.
If he could just go anywhere else.
I want
it to be St. Louis. If he comes back to Philly, great. I'm not mad about. But I just don't see it at this point. I don't think they're close. And the way that Dombrowski's talking, it just doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. But look, if the Braves want to hand him 6 years, $160 million or whatever, be my guest. Be my guest. Because at the end of that contract's not going to look super good. I don't even know if this side of the contract's going to look good. So let's go here. I'm going to start with a bench bat. I think they need to replace the Jake Cave situation. They need a left-handed bat that they can depend on in situations like they had this past year with a guy who's not hitting, and they need a professional at bat or a guy who can go in and play here and there. And I looked through the list of left-handed bats that are out there that would be willing to come and take like a bench sort of role and have that sort of pedigree. And there were a couple. Eddie Rosario's out there, obviously, and he scares people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is sort of a crush I've had, a baseball crush for a long time, and it's Michael Brantley. So I'm bringing Michael Brantley here, that last piece of the bench. 1 year, like $6 million should get it done. 5 million, something like that should be. I just think he's the perfect professional hitter. He's been in big situations. He's won multiple World Series. I believe he's been on both of the World Series teams for the Astros. He's just at this point looking to round out his career. So let's bring Michael Brantley over. That's the first move. 1 year, $6 million. Any fee?
I like that a lot. I just think he's such a good hitter that, like, if you're just asking him to come in every once in a while and get a base hit here and there, like, that dude gives you such a good chance to do that.
Yeah. And he's a professional at bat every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. Okay. So then my next piece is, and this is a little spoiler alert. We need 2 pitchers in my offseason because Nola walks and one other is being sent out.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that later. We're not going to say who or for what yet. So I'm signing one of 3 guys. I didn't land on one because I just couldn't. So the first one, there's going to be a lot of people who quiver when I say this. Luis Severino. Luis Severino's 29 years old and has been horrible in New York for the last 3 years, injury riddled and terrible. There's really no number that I could throw at you right now that would make you think otherwise. Here's what I will say. There's a ton of upside there. Like, when he first came up, he was nearly unhittable. And stuff doesn't disappear, confidence does. And sometimes change of scenery could be the best thing for a dude like that. And sometimes the coaching could be, a game changer. So, it's a really nice low risk, high reward. High risk, high reward is what I'm trying to say. Type of signing, or low risk, high reward. I don't know. Low risk is probably, if he's not very good, but if he is, because of the upside, go get him. The next guy that I want to talk about is a 37-year-old.
Oh, all right.
Okay. He had Tommy John, came back in August. 11 starts, pitched to a 3.46 ERA, a 1.28 WHIP. 8 times out of those 11 starts, he allowed 2 earned runs or less. And that's Hyun-Jin Ryu. He spent a lot of his career in LA and then ended up in Toronto. He's probably on 1 year travel, type of money right now.
Yeah.
And if they want to get, foreshadowing, my other starter, he might be a good way to make that happen. So definitely a guy who, if healthy, he's never going to throw hard. He's not that type of a pitcher, but if you can keep him healthy and keep him in the rotation, could be really effective, especially out of that 5 spot. Going every 5th.
That's a wild name to bring up.
Yeah, how about it? Listen, man, I told you. This is Mike coming out of the woodwork here a little bit.
You could have given me a bunch of guesses. I don't think that would have been in my first 100.
I mean, this
for
is what
you.
I'm here for. This
Good
is what
for
I'm here
you.
for. All right, and my last one is Eric Lauer. Eric Lauer is a 27-year-old pitcher for well, actually, he just turned 28. He was a Brewer. And here's the thing. He was not great in 2020. He just wasn't. His ERA was over 4. But another one of these, like, he had shoulder issues and I wonder if it was lingering a little bit. Because before that, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. A nice little back end rotation guy. If you notice, I've gone 2 lefties here, which would give them 3 in the rotation, more than what they've had in a really long time. But just an interesting, sort of, and look, here's the thing. You go get one of these dudes and ship off the guy that I'm thinking of shipping off, then if they're not panning out, you can absolutely go get someone at the deadline. Like that's not out of the question. So I don't know. Just those would be and that's like a 1 year. Those guys are like 1 year, $8-10 million contracts. Like that's what I think. Maybe that's a little high for Severino.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair. For the other guys to. That's sort of what the pitching market is. At this point. So I love what you said. I didn't think that those would be names that I'd look for.
Fascinating.
But
here
we are. All right, which leads me to the replacement for Aaron Nola. Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah,
bring me
guy.
that man. Bring me that man. This guy, can we just talk about the numbers real quickly? He's 26, by the way. That's what I think is one of the most important things. He's earned him 3 consecutive triple crowns and the Sawamura Awards, the MPB's equivalent of the Cy. Okay. In his last game for Oryx, he cemented his status as a legend. Complete game with 14 strikeouts in Game 6 of the Japan Series. 14 strikeouts broke a Japan Series record formerly held by none other than Yu Darvish. And if you watch the video of that, it's pretty unbelievable. He's 5'10", 176 pounds, but he pitches like deep into games and he's super durable. So we talk about Aaron Nola and his ability to go deep in games and deep in seasons. This dude has thrown 193 innings, 164 innings last year. ERA has not eclipsed 1.7. He's struck out 200 guys twice. He's walked no more than 42 in a season. That's Regz. That's insane. That's insane. He threw on his 133rd pitch in that Japan series, threw a ball 98. He's got 4 or 5 different pitches. He doesn't really throw the 5th pitch a lot. He didn't really have to throw the 5th pitch a lot. I think the piece that I like about him is that he looks like he's smart. I've watched a lot of his like videos and his sequencing of pitches. And he pitches. It's like watching Yu Darvish pitch because you don't know what the heck's happening.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know what's happening. He had a 69% strike rate last year.
Jesus.
Like, talk about pounding the zone, dude.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's insane. So he throws his fastball 48% of the time, curveball 16% of the time. That's a 77 mile an hour curveball, 95 mile an hour fastball. Throws a splitter 26% of the time at 90 miles. His slider cutter, he throws 2% of the time, and his cutter he throws 8% of the time. So those are his 5 pitches. And honestly, Regz, like at 26 years old, this is the type of guy I'm giving a 7-year deal, somewhere around $170 million.
Yeah.
I think that's about right considering where some of the other guys came in over the last few seasons and what the pitching market looks like. So it's about 22, 23, $24 million in value. And there's your replacement for Aaron Nola, and he'll be 33 when
Yeah.
I just think
these are the guys you give that contract to, not a 32-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I like I don't care what else happens. I want that guy.
And here's why I'm actually like leading it a little bit. Like why I'm like, okay, it's possible. Because our old friend Jim Salisbury dropped a bomb on WIP and said, and he did quantify it by saying, like, I don't know that it's likely because they just never have like fished in this world before. But like, this is the time where, you know, you got to start.
Mm-hmm.
You need a pitcher to replace Aaron Nola if you're not. And I don't feel good about anybody on the market.
Yeah.
I don't feel good about Snell. I don't feel great about trading a ton of guys for Burns. I would do it for a Dylan Cease, but it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah.
For a Dylan Cease. I don't feel good about Sonny Gray being the number 2.
Yeah. No.
And then when Andrew Painter's ready, like your 1, 2, 3 is absurd. It's absurd.
Our girl Alex had a good article on him, interviewed a couple scouts, and said that like the Phillies have put more work than most teams into this guy. And like he said, he like in the top 4 or 5 that he's seen, like just the amount of time they're putting into, I'm sure, looking at him and talking to people about him and like showing that they're interested.
And I think that's huge because I don't remember the last time that the Phillies were involved in this way. So this is where you've got to throw your big guns at. Like, get him on the phone with Bryce Harper. Get him on the phone with Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
Get him on the phone with JT Realmuto. Like, throw your dudes at him. Get him on the phone with Topper. Like, help him understand that if he comes here, here's the culture.
Mm-hmm.
You want to win, you come here.
Yeah.
You want to win, you want to play for a fan base that's going to be passionate and show out. Like, come here. You've got to throw the artillery at this guy.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to make the move, he's got to know what he's coming into. Mm-hmm. Because most times, you know, when players come over from Japan, they look to certain cities. They look to New York, where there is more of that culture already in that city.
Mm-hmm.
New York, San Francisco, like LA. That's where players from Japan tend to find themselves, where they're most comfortable. You've got to make them feel comfortable by working through the players.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear they're putting in the work on it. It's important.
I want that guy so bad.
Me too.
Oh my gosh.
Along with this, and I didn't really put this in here, I'm just asking, they need to extend Zach Wheeler, and I'll leave that there. Yeah. That needs to happen this offseason. Sticking with the theme of pitching, do you want the trade first or the free agent position?
Free agent first.
All right. Well, there's no doubt that this was happening because as soon as I saw that he declined his option year for $8.5 million, I was always bringing Hector Neris back. 2 years, $20 million. Hector, come back, baby. I mean, the guy was loved in the clubhouse. Like, this isn't, and honestly, 2 years, $20 million is right there for him. He was dominant in Houston. He went to Houston and he learned, you know, a little bit about himself as a pitcher. I'm not bringing him back to be the closer.
No,
I'm bringing him back to be that third right-hander.
Right. You just throw him in at any time.
Exactly. So, that is my one addition to the bullpen. My other one's a trade. I'm sending Johan Rojas, Christian McGowan, and one other player, like off of a list to be named later, to the Pittsburgh Pirates for David Bednar. There's your closer. David Bednar still has 3 years of control, including this year. He's going to set to make somewhere around $1.5 million. You send the Pirates a starting pitcher in the making, a pretty good one, and their center fielder of the future. The future, they can move some things around and get Rojas out. I think the Phillies really love Rojas, so I don't know that but he's the guy that I'm sending at this point. And if I can get David Bednar to lock down the 9th inning.
Yeah, that guy's
and
really
again,
good.
I'm not a closer guy. We know this.
Yes.
I'm not. But I'm kind of ready just to have a dude in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Like the guy that I know. And then you can just deploy dudes however you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the 9th inning looks like.
Yeah.
But then you've got your bullets of Hoffman, Alvarado.
Right.
In this
And
case,
then
Harris.
you don't have to like double up on Alvarado or
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, because you've got, if you know the ninth inning is locked down, then those guys don't have to go for like 4 outs or 5 outs or
Because
stuff like that, because
Bednar
you're just going to scramble to see who comes in at the end of the game.
doesn't have a matchup problem.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to look at Bednar and say, "Oh, I can't throw him again."
Yeah.
Bednar gets everybody out.
Yeah.
Dude is absolute filth.
Yeah.
And I've wanted him for like 3 years. I think every year I put him in this conversation. So 3rd time's a charm. All right, Regz, are you ready for the big one?
Yes.
Okay. The Phillies will send Taijuan Walker, Mick Abel,
Okay.
Justin Crawford,
All right.
and punch me in the face, William Bergolla, to Anaheim for Mike Trout.
Is it going to take
Look.
that much?
Oh, yeah, for sure going to take that much. Like, I know what Mike Trout is. I know what he's been, but he's still freaking Mike Trout. And what you're trying to do is get them to take some of the money, and I didn't mention that. So he's still got like $320 million left on his contract.
Yeah.
You're trying to get that down to about $200 million.
Right.
Because that means that you're then paying 7 years, so you're like 27 for Trout, which is a lot different than paying $32 million a year.
Yeah.
For Trout. So that, and then the Taijuan piece sort of takes some of that money off of, because he's making like 18 a year. Now, so in order to get the money from the Angels, you have to put better prospects in. And Mick Abel, do I want to trade him? No. Do I want to trade Justin Crawford? No, especially if I'm trading us. But
Yeah.
Again, this is my situation, and I think the Phillies can find ways in the draft. Preston Mattingly and Barber, an incredible job. They can replace the center field situation, especially because Brandon Marsh is still so young. You're not worried about center field for the next 5 years. Like, you're good there. And look, I love William Bergolla. Like, he's my favorite prospect in the organization. But if you want this type of player, this is what you got to do. And Regz, I think, I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but Mike Trout, I feel like, is a product of the Anaheim issues. This team this organization has just been an embarrassment, top to bottom. And look, sometimes players struggle with injuries due to the organization's failure to keep them healthy. I'm going to knock on wood a little bit here, but aside from the Harper stuff with the elbow, Phillies have been a relatively healthy team. Like, knock on wood, they've been a pretty healthy team, and some of the guys that they brought in, like Kyle Schwarber, dealt with injuries in Chicago. He dealt with injuries in Boston the short time he was there. He dealt with injuries in Washington. Trey Turner has been hurt. Bryce has always been sort of banged up. Marshy is a guy that has been banged up, but he tends to get back pretty quick. The Phillies, I think they do a good job. Like, Zach Wheeler has been relatively healthy. Ranger's been beat a lot. But I think organizationally, I think they failed Trout in a lot of ways. So I'll get more into that in a little bit, but if there's ever a time to do it, it's now. It's now. I think, the Angels are sort of in this weird spot where, like, Ohtani's likely gone.
Oh my God. If he goes back to Anaheim,
yeah,
they somehow came up with, like, I don't know, some drug that they've given these two players to stick around at this god-awful organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And if, if that's the case, like, at what point, as Mike Trout, are you looking around and saying, what am I doing here?
That I couldn't believe he signed the contract in the first place.
Well, I think he did that with the Ohtani thing, and, things that were finally arriving. they signed pitching, they drafted pitching, but and look, they just got Ron Washington over there. So
Yeah.
sure, they might very well be trying to make a run at this whole thing, but like if Ohtani goes elsewhere, if you're Mike Trout, you've got to be looking at it like, what is going on?
I don't like you just can't.
We're never gonna win. We're not winning we've got the defending world champions in our division, and we have the Astros who are there every year. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna play out the rest of my career in this place.
That Mike Trout can't not have some playoff moment. Like he's one of the best baseball players of all time. Like he can't not have a playoff moment.
Stop putting yourself in a position to be compared to Jake Cave.
Yeah.
Like
it's ridiculous.
What are we doing?
Yeah, ridiculous.
So let me do this and then I'll go into my fixated, which is about Trout. This is the lineup if my offseason goes according to plan. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Trout, Stott, Bohm, JT, Marshy, Casty. That's fun. That's fun. Now, I will say that like my other thought on this is like if you don't get him, go get Jock Peterson. Like just go get Jock Peterson, stick him in left field. He's a contact dude who's going to hit 30 Citizen 25 home runs at Citizens Bank Park. Just go ahead and do it. That's fine. I'm good with it. The bench is Pache, Brantley, Sosa, Stubbs. It's lacks a little depth from an infield perspective. But I think you don't necessarily worry about that with Sosa being able to play 3 different infield positions, and you can move some guys around if you have to. Like Bohm can move, right?
Yeah.
So there's things. Rotation: Wheeler, Yamamoto, Ranger, Sanchez, and one of Severino, Ryu, or Lauer. There. And then bullpen. It's good, Regz. Strom, Alvarado, Soto, Kerkering, Neris, Hoffman, Sir Anthony, Bednar.
That's pretty good. Jesus.
And so just so you know, I come back to this. If those are the moves and they get Trout at 27, then they will have spent $56 million in this scenario, which would put them at $263 million for their payroll for the and those are my numbers that I kind of I went off of Sport Rack, so they might not be entirely accurate. Might be closer to 270. But and depending on what they do with like arbitration and stuff like that. Again, I know the Mike Trout thing might feel aggressive and it might feel out of the possibility. I don't think it is. I'm not saying that it's, but I'm saying at this point it's likelier than it has in regards to him being traded.
Yeah.
Than it has been in years. It just is. You know, where the Angels organization is with what his mindset might be right now. I just think that it's a possibility he could very well be on his way. He could. And it's wild to think that.
Yeah.
But it's certainly possible. And here's what I'm kind of fixated on. We've alluded to it all. Like, at what point do you decide you want to win? Like, at what point do you decide I want to go somewhere and win and pull your GM into the conversation and say, look, I've done it here. I've given you everything I've got. I want to go win a ring. You've got to trade me. You've got to trade me. And there are very few teams that I think he would, 1, be willing to go to, and 2, that would want or be able to afford him in the situation that they're in. Like, I think the Yankees would be in that conversation, but I think they're all in on Juan Soto. I think the Mets, but the Mets are like 2 years away from
right.
So I don't know that they make sense. The Dodgers are in every conversation. There are plenty of places, but if you're the Angels and Mike Trout asks you to trade him, you're gonna do what's best for Mike Trout. And I think Mike Trout would say, if you can find a way to get me to Philly. And I think this is where, like, again, you pull out these big guns and you have Bryce talk to him. Like, and I know there's probably some sort of rule against this, but if he wants to be traded, I'm sure there's text messages that can be thrown around. Shit, send Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
I was about to say
the guy
that's
loves
who you got to call
Eagles.
him. That's who you got to call him.
The guy loves the Eagles, just like, shout him out, like, get him here. And to me, like, I'll go back to what I said previously. Like, his value's never been low, but he's still Mike Trout. He's still one of the greatest baseball players of all time.
And I really do, and not to interrupt the Phixated, which I'm sorry.
You're good, man.
But, like,
you're good.
Not for nothing. How rejuvenated would you feel as Mike Trout getting on this Phillies team? Like, you've just been wallowing away in Anaheim, watching, like, these players come in and do nothing. Obviously, besides Ohtani, like, Shohei is his own thing.
Yeah.
But, like Anthony Rendon, like, what disappeared off the face of the earth?
Yeah.
Just think of all, like, the pitchers they've tried to go get, or, like, all these different things. Like, you've just watched player after player come through, and you guys haven't done anything. Like, at some point, it crushes your resolve a little bit.
I think that's perfectly said, because they did, like, they've tried.
They
right?
have,
Like,
yeah.
We signed Anthony Rendon. We signed the biggest free agent from Japan ever, and arguably the new greatest player of all time. But there is some rejuvenation that comes with going to a city that has really coveted you from the jump. They've embraced you, even though you don't play for them. But there's also something to be said for Mike Trout will be able to walk in that clubhouse. And for the last couple of years, he's walked into the clubhouse and he's seen Shohei Ohtani, right? But he'll be able to walk into a clubhouse and there's Kyle Schwarber, and there's JT Realmuto, and there's Bryce Harper, and there's Zach Wheeler. And over there they're Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, and Brandon Marsh, who are a really good core three of young players right now.
Trey Turner's in that corner.
And Trey Turner and your 9-hitter Nick Castellanos, who hit 30 home runs this year, is over there. Like, there's no pressure on Mike Trout at this point. Like, Mike Trout can just come in and be Mike Trout. And hit behind Bryce freaking Harper.
Yeah.
Like, he's just got to be Mike Trout. Like, just a version of Mike Trout. And he won't have to play center field.
Mm-hmm.
Which, takes away from the toll on the body. I believe that the Phillies have to be looking at this situation as such, which is, we have had 2 consecutive heartbreaking seasons. Our window is open. We actually arrived early. We opened the window a year early. This was the year that I thought they'd get there. And it's not easy to go back. So if you're going back, you've got to go all in. And we know the owner's ready to do it. And we know that the president can get it done. But you need a bat. I don't care what you say, that you feel like you're set offensively. You're not. You have nobody playing left field right now.
Yeah.
And no one believes that you're ready to go into this season with Pache, Rojas, and Marsh combination in center field and left field. No one believes that.
Yeah.
Go get the guy. You immediately become the favorites in the division. I don't care what the Braves do. I don't care what the Braves have done. if Mike Trout's a Philly in this offense, in this lineup, you're the immediate favorites to win the division. You just are. And on the Mike Trout side of things, stop. Just stop. Stop pretending like Anaheim is where you want to be. No one wants to play in Anaheim. Call Brandon Marsh and ask him what it's been like since he's come to. Sure, he can tell you how his career's turned around. Guy was like the best hitter on the planet the first month of last year, and was the best hitter in the series.
Yeah, right. I was about to say, right. Yeah.
Like, Mike, stop kidding yourself and stop kidding baseball. Like, everybody knows that you're wasting your career. Come win a championship. Just stop. Go talk to your front office and tell them that you want to. And my hope is that the second Ohtani signs that.
Yeah.
Rumors about Mike Trout. That being said, if you're the Phillies, be patient. Be patient and wait it out. When Shohei goes, pick up the phone and say, all right, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want? Here's what we're offering. Here's what we're offering. So there it is, man.
There it is.
The offseason. Did it live up to the yearly hype?
It always does. It always does. You never don't deliver.
Well, I'll tell you what. We would really bear the cupboard prospect-wise if
Yeah.
That's the like Abel and Crawford alone. Those are two of your top four prospects. But the two guys that I'm not trading are Aiden and Andrew Painter.
Yeah,
so
right.
They are not being touched at all. So yeah, I know it's a lot.
And
when
listen,
you look at it, but
let's really talk about it. Like, Rojas, as good of a defensive player as he is, there's a lot of work to be done offensively with that kid.
yeah.
Am I saying it's not going to happen? No, I'm not saying that. But are you trading away like this 5-tool center fielder who is a no doubt? Like, no.
Right.
You're trading away a very good defensive center fielder.
Sure.
Who is young and has speed, but has a lot to figure out offensively. Like, a lot. Like, it's not just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I understand we don't want to see him go. You especially. You've been talking about him for 9 years, it seems like. But like the Abel thing, stinks. He probably will turn out to be a pretty decent pitcher. The Crawford thing, the kid, like, he's playing well, man. The kid's playing well.
Yeah.
So I think those hurt more than the Rojas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you never know. Like, Crawford has to develop some pop.
Yes.
And
but just think of the
obviously
difference in just putting the bat on the ball between him and Rojas.
Well, Rojas, yeah. I think Crawford's a little more advanced right now in that way. And so again, like, the Bednar thing's been on my wish list for a long time.
That would be disgusting.
I doubt it happens, but I know they said they're not worried about a closer. And look, the bullpen to me, like, I didn't need to do anything there.
Yeah.
The bullpen to me is really good as it is. And I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't do anything except for some like fringe stuff, like Hoffman type signings.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't shock me at all. This is just me being greedy.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I am them, I am looking at it. We got to kind of place the Kimbrel spot. And, maybe Neris is that guy. Maybe Neris is the guy they use to replace the Kimbrel spot. And they do go closer by committee all season.
Yeah.
With some combination of like Soto, Hoffman, and but they don't have to do a whole lot there. They need one guy really. I went and got two, but they truly only need one guy. So
awesome.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Awesome as always, buddy.
All right, well, hey, y'all, listen, thank you so much for checking us out this week. We will be back. We haven't talked about it. It's going to be sometime next week. But we hope that you have an amazing Thanksgiving. In the meantime, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe in the box below. Go ahead to wherever you get your podcasts and rate us. so we get to more. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can follow us on at B&B Podcast on Instagram at Phixated Pod, Twitter, myself at the Mic Drop, Regz at Big Regz with a Z, and then the Phixated fan page on Facebook. Click the merchandise link in the description below. The holidays are coming around. Buy your Phixated stuff right now. I got my hat on tonight. But we are certainly appreciative to support us. Share it out. Share the love. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We will see you all sometime week. Until then, be good to yourself. Be good to others. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.
Come on over.
And also, Taylor, do the right thing.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.